Welcome to Metamorphosis with Dr. Tassel Faith. In the next hour, you will embark on a journey to awaken your inner identity, remember the truth of who you are, and come home to yourself. Enter your transformative chrysalis, experience the fundamental change you need, and emerge a leader for your own life and for the planet. Align with your spirit and become the being you were always meant to be. Leap fearlessly into the powerful change awaiting you. Transform your world naturally and supernaturally. Lead with your magic, trust the unseen, experience quantum leaps. Metamorphosis begins now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Tassel Faith, your priestess of metamorphosis. Please stay with us over the next hour and let us help you experience your own personal metamorphosis. And it is just an unbelievable honor to welcome our amazing guest today, John Assaraf. We're so glad you're here, John.
It's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're just amazing. Would it be okay if I start by reading your incredible bio?
Sure. But yeah, I don't know which bio you have, but the answer is yes.
It's quite impressive. John is one of the leading high-performance success coaches in the world. He is a behavioral neuroscience researcher who has appeared numerous times on Larry King Live, Anderson Cooper, and the Ellen DeGeneres Show. He grew Remax of Indiana from a startup to 85 offices, selling over $4 billion a year. He was also one of the founders of Bamboo.com, which went public on NASDAQ with a market cap of $2.5 billion. John has written 4 books, including 2 New York Times bestsellers that have been translated into 35 languages. He is the creator of the Innercise movement and has been featured in 11 movies, including the blockbuster hit The Secret and Quest for Success with Richard Branson and the Dalai Lama. Today, John is CEO of MyNeuroGym.com, a neuroscience-based company dedicated to helping individuals strengthen their mindset and skills so they achieve their goals faster and easier than ever before.
Ta-da!
Wow.
Ta-da!
John, wow.
Wow.
How does someone achieve so many amazing things in life?
Great question. And it actually started off because I wasn't achieving very much in my life. And when I was in school, specifically grade school and high school, I failed English, failed math, didn't do well, didn't think I was smart enough. When my parents moved from Israel to Montreal when I was 5 years old, I was right in that early stage where I was starting grade 1. And I didn't speak English or French, which is what they spoke in Montreal. And I felt 2 years behind just catching up because the school was so packed with, in our case, immigrants with 50, 60 kids per classroom. And so I just fell behind and I didn't think I was smart enough. I was always in the principal's office and my grades reflected what they thought my intelligence was. And so I was put in remedial classes and was bored out of my mind there. So I got in trouble. And by the time I picked up the English language and realized, maybe I wasn't a dumb jock, which is, the label I got in school. It was, I was a little bit behind the scenes. So I decided to leave high school in grade 11. That's really where in my case, my real education began.
Wow, John, what an amazing story. And how did you overcome these external opinions, judgments of who you were? How were you able to do that?
Yeah, I got fascinated. I was the 2 classes that I actually liked in school, other than like gym class, was biology and chemistry. I was fascinated with how things, combine to create other things in chemistry, and I was really fascinated with biology. Obviously, when you're in biology class as a kid, it's frogs and caterpillars and things like that. I just got fascinated with human anatomy. And when I was in my early 20s, actually, when I was 19, this is where this really began, as I was getting into a lot of trouble. I was working in the shipping department of a company most people will know in the world called Philips Electronics, where boxes were coming in, unpack the computers, ship boxes to the stores. I was doing that all day long and I hated it. And my brother introduced me to this guy that lived about 350 miles away from where I was in Montreal. He lived in Toronto. And at lunch, that I took the train to go and see my brother and this gentleman, this man, his name was Alan Brown. He asked me, what are some of your goals, in your life? Like, what do you want to achieve? And I said at the time, I remember this like it was yesterday, I'd like to buy my own car. I'd like to move out of my parents' house. And I'd like to get a job where I can earn more than $1.65 an hour, which is actually how much I was earning at the time. And he said, well, that's all great, and you can do all that, but like, what are some of your bigger goals and dreams? I'm like, I'm 19. I don't have any bigger goals and dreams except for what I just told you. He said, what I'd like you to do is sit next to me at the table. My brother was with me as well. Sit next to me at the table over here. And he says, I want you to fill out these forms. And I said, okay. I was like, back to school. I almost got, instant, like, get up and run. And on the first form, it said, at what age do you want to retire? And I'm like, what? I'm 19. I want a job. Well, my father's still not retired. He's a cab driver. Now, the second question was, how much net worth do you want to have upon retirement? And so I looked at Mr. Brown and I said to him, like, how am I supposed to know what age I want to retire? And like, what does net worth mean? What kind of lifestyle do you want to live? What kind of car do you want? Who do you want to help? What kind of charitable contributions do you want to make? Where do you want to travel? What kind of home do you want? If they ask me all these questions, I'm like, I don't know. I said, just dream, just imagine, create a fantasy for what you want. I said, great. I want to retire at age 45, $3 million net worth. I want to travel the world. I want to retire my parents. I want to have a Mercedes Benz. I want to have a 4-bedroom house. I want to have an Italian wardrobe. I just wrote, I want. And he took the piece of paper and he read all this stuff. He says, this is actually very, very good. It's a great vision, for a life that I think you'd be proud of. I said, I sure would be if I could achieve that, but, I don't know how to achieve that. He says, well, I'm going to ask you one question, and the answer to this one question will determine whether you achieve everything on these documents. And I can tell you, like it was yesterday, I was thinking in the back of my mind, yeah, sure, every one of these things. Like, we didn't know anybody that had any of it except on TV. And so he said to me, are you interested in achieving these things, or are you committed to achieving them? I go, what? He said, are you interested, or are you committed to achieving them? I said, Mr. Brown, I said, what's the difference, sir? Mm-hmm. And I remember he leaned in, he said, son, he said, if you're interested, you'll do what's easy and convenient. If you're interested, you'll allow your stories and your reasons and your excuses to control your thinking and your behaviors, and you'll keep repeating your old patterns. It says, if you're interested, you'll hold on to the beliefs that you need in education in order to be successful. If you're interested, you'll keep repeating all of the habitual patterns that keep you stuck achieving the same results over and over again. He said, on the other side of that, he said, if you're committed, you will upgrade your identity. And he pointed at his brain to match the destiny you wrote down on that sheet of paper. He says, you'll upgrade your beliefs, you'll upgrade your knowledge, you'll upgrade your skills so that they are consistent and line up with the type of man that's capable of achieving all of those goals and dreams. So he leans in, so now that you know what the difference is, are you interested? Or are you committed? And I don't know why I was a little nervous, but I don't know why, but I said, well, in that case, sir, I'm committed. And he reached out his hand, and I took my hand, I put my hand in his, in that case, son, I will be your mentor. And I said, wow, thank you. What's a mentor? True story. And he explained to me what a mentor was. Like, it was like, oh, wow. Like, in the back of my mind, I was saying kind of like what a dad's supposed to do, but my dad couldn't be that mentor to me. So here's this man, just met him literally like 45 minutes earlier, 30 minutes earlier, saying, I want to be your mentor. And I'll teach you the way to think. I'll teach you how to change your beliefs, your habits, your identity, your self-image, your self-worth, your self-esteem. And I didn't know what most of those things really meant, but he said he'll guide me, he'll show me. And so I moved from Montreal to Toronto 2 weeks later. I enrolled in the real estate school. I borrowed the money to get my real estate license because he wouldn't pay for it. I didn't even have a car, no car, realtor, no car. I didn't have a house, didn't have money. I had $50 in my bank account. I borrowed $450 from my brother, my mother, my sister, lent me the rest of the money. And this is going back a long time. And I got my real estate license. Then he taught me how to be a real estate agent. And that was the beginning of shifting my mindset from I don't know how, I can't, and all the evidence that I had up until that point to prove that I wasn't smart enough, to somebody who's like, oh, well, maybe I can do this. So I went from I can't, I don't know how, I'm not good enough, not smart enough, to maybe I can, to I did. And over the next 6 months, he taught me some of the fundamentals. Then over the next year after that, he taught me some deeper level skills. And I went from making $1.51 an hour to making $151,000 in the following 12 months as a 19 and 20-year-old real estate agent. That was the beginning of the shift, right? The paradigm shift that happened in my life. And then I haven't stopped learning about what happened to me.
Wow. What a story. Sense of this gentleman coming into your life. Do you consider him like a guardian angel, or how do you conceptualize that?
Yeah, it was, my brother was concerned for my well-being because I was getting into so much trouble with the law at 19 and 18, and the direction that I was heading into is either jail or the morgue.
Yeah.
And my brother cared enough about me. My sister cared enough that they did an intervention. And my brother just asked somebody that he was teaching tennis to if he could help. And the man said, sure, I'll meet your brother for lunch. Have him come to Toronto. And I took the train, And that was the beginning, of what's possible, like what's really possible. And like I got curious of what's really possible for me. And then he really guided me on personal growth and personal development, and to challenge my beliefs about myself, to challenge what was possible for me. But while he challenged my beliefs and what was possible, he also had me do something which was really a game changer for me. And that was teaching me the value of an hour. And I remember him saying that if I studied for 1 hour a day, at the end of 1 year is 365 hours, right? That's 9 40-hour weeks.
8.
Right? He said, if you studied for 1 hour a day, for 1 year, you would be further ahead than 95% of the population on that thing that you studied. If you did it for 2 years, 98%, 3 years, 99%, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, it's not even a race anymore. And so 40 years ago, I started studying 1 hour a day on the things that will help me improve.
Yes. Yes.
And I haven't stopped.
Yes. Amazing. Amazing. And I just love in your beautiful story that you're so kindly sharing how it seems like you just jumped right in. Were you following just your gut instinct? You just had a good feel about this mentor and this path, and you just took that leap of faith?
No, I was moving away from so much fear.
Yeah.
I was moving away from the pain,
Yes.
the embarrassment I was causing my parents, the shame that I felt, the insecurities I had, the belief that I wasn't worthy. I was moving away from that. And he gave me a a spark of hope.
Yes. Yes.
So as much as I'd like to share with you that, oh yeah, no, I was so scared of, one of my friends had died. One of our other friends went to jail. I was so scared of that. This was like a move in the right direction.
Yes.
So I was, as much as I'd like to say I was motivated by what he promised could be, I was actually more fearful of what could have been my reality.
Yes. Yes.
So initially, I put more faith and trust in him than I had in me, because I didn't have any faith. All I had was faith and trust that I could keep messing stuff up as a high school derelict. I could end up back in the police station again. I could end up being caught on a drug bust, because I was doing drugs at the time and sold drugs too. So I was moving away from the mess I was creating in my life. And then, then he showed me how to move towards what I want.
Yes.
But that took some time, because I didn't believe in me. So I had to believe in him.
Right.
But then as I started to read books, like I didn't read books. I didn't listen to cassette tapes, which is what he gave me back then. And I would listen to cassette tapes, while I was driving to the office and going around pretending I was a real estate agent initially.
Yeah.
Right? And then I started to fill my mind with better seeds. And those seeds started to flourish. And I started to think differently, and I started to walk differently. I started to behave differently. And then I started to achieve results. It's like, I did that. Like, I knew when I was lying and stealing and cheating as a kid, I knew, but I also knew when I did the work and I achieved the success on my own, it's kind of like, stood a little bit taller. It's like, hey, I started to become proud of who I was versus embarrassed by who I was.
Yes.
I started to feel like I was smart versus dumb. I started to feel like this is possible versus it's never going to be possible for me. I started to feel like I can instead of I can't. And that just percolated. And when I was 22, in the summer of my 22nd year, I decided I was going to take some of the money that I made as a real estate agent. I was going to travel around the world. And I traveled for 15 months on my own. And I took the money, about $70,000 that I had saved up, and I traveled around the world. And all I saw was love and beauty and kindness, and people that every culture was like, oh my God. The image I had of people when I was in my teens was, it was dog eat dog, take advantage of them or they'll take advantage of you. And none of that happened to me when I traveled around the world. People would take me into their homes, drive me here, give me that, show me this. I was like, we live in a beautiful world with beautiful people. So again, a little bit, of shifting my internal map of reality. And when I start to see the good in people, they saw the good in me. And I was like, and it's been a marvelous journey ever since then. And I started to study, I want to understand the mechanics, the neuromechanics of thoughts and the neuromechanics of our brain. And when I was 23, when I came back, I actually ended up owing my sister $17,000 because she funded the last part of my trip, so I wouldn't have to come home early. But then I came back broke again. I was broke when I started real estate, took all the money and traveled. And then I was broke again, but I had the knowledge and the skills of what I did the first time. So I got back into real estate, and I worked really, really long hours in my, early 20s, partied like a rock star, having fun. And I ended up with severe ulcerative colitis. So I had ulcers in my colon at 23. And I had a real challenging health time for a year and a half, where I was taking pills and going to the hospital every month to do, sigmoidoscopies to look into places they shouldn't look into, to see what was going on. And then I was watching TV, and there were some doctors talking about something called psychoneuroimmunology. the mind-body connection. They say you can heal yourself using the power of your mind. I'm like, what? How would you do that? And that was the beginning of learning about meditation from the East, the Far East meditation, and learning about visualization and affirmations. And I said, well, let me try it. So at 23, I started to meditate for 15, 20 minutes, and then I started to visualize my health, and I had this health affirmation. My body and all its organs were created by the infinite intelligence in my subconscious mind. It knows how to heal me. It created all my muscles, tissues, bones, and organs. Powerful is the creative intelligence within me. I am now perfectly healthy. And I recited that and recorded it on a cassette tape, and 5 weeks later, all my symptoms went away after a year and a half of being sick. 5 weeks.
Wow.
Whoa. Hey, how did that work?
Wow.
That was the beginning of me getting into the behavioral neuroscience research as a guinea pig. And then I had to find out, like, what in the world happens to me? How did I change? How did I go from being broke to having some money and traveling and having some of the good life, to being sick, to being healthy? And that's really when my real, like, hey, what's going on here? There's much more than, meets the eye. So that's kind of like the beginning of some of the things that have happened, that I've learned a little bit about the power in every one of us, and not an egotistical power, the spiritual power in every one of us, plus, right, the emotional power, the physical power, the mental power that every one of us has. And what I discovered is every brain functionally works the same. Some people are just using it better than others.
John, amazing. You're dropping so much wisdom and so many amazing stories. I'm just so excited. The last story you just told of your amazing recovery from your illness when you were in your 20s through an affirmation, through using the power of your mental capacities and your energy. That reminds me so much of Dr. Joe Dispenza's experience.
With healing, yeah. After his car, the motorcycle accident, yeah.
So similar.
Yeah. Self-talk, words are so powerful, right? Words activate electrical activity in the brain, release neurochemicals that activate every cell in our body. But I think there's more to it than that. I think that since we are all energy and vibrational beings, right? If you looked at my hand through an electron microscope, you'd see vibrating packets of energy. We call that quanta. Since we're in this quantum field, right? It's not like there's a quantum field there and there's an out there and there's an in here. We're in the field, like a fish is in water. We're in the field. Every thought, activates 100 trillion cells in the field. And that which we are in resonance with is very well known to create a resonance field around it. And either we're in a state of at ease with what it is that we want, or we're in a state of dis-ease with what we don't. So are you in a vibrational match with what you want or what you don't want? You're creating chaotic vibrations between wanting something positive but expecting something negative.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You get what you expect.
You get what you expect. You get what you are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You get what you are. Exactly.
So the key, and I know that the work that you do is along these lines, right? And so how do we get into concert? How do we get into harmony? Right? It's like
with what we want.
Yeah.
Yes.
With what is that we, desire, right? Is how do we get into alignment?
Yes.
The visual that I like to use is imagine that you have a radio in front of you, right? And let's say there's no wires, just radio with a battery, and you turn it on, right?
Yep.
And Well, you need to get on the station that you want to hear. You want to hear rock and roll? Get on the rock and roll station. That might be 93.5. Oh, you want punk rock? That's at 82.1. Oh, you want classical music? Tune in, right, to 103.7. So, everything that we want is a frequency.
Yes.
And there's millions and millions and millions and millions of frequencies. And since our brain is an electromagnetic switching station, is it possible for us to learn how to tune in or tune out? Right? And the answer is, of course it is, right? And what I tune into is what the universe shows me, what the universe brings forth to me.
Yes, yes. So what are your literal, practical, experiential ways that you, John, embody the energy, the frequency of what you're bringing into your life? How do you do that?
Everything starts with clarity. Everything starts with clarity. And the reason I share that is I'll just use the radio analogy again. You first have to start like, what kind of music do you want to hear? Is it punk rock or classical? Or is it a combination of punk rock, classical? Great, because there's a station for that.
Yep.
So everything has to start with clarity. And the clarity is what creates the focus.
Yes.
Right? So in a sea of unlimited possibilities, if you think about our creator and what did she give us, over maybe all the other animals and plants, she gave us dominion over, and it's called choice.
Yeah.
So I need to be clear in my choice first. And if I'm consciously or unconsciously choosing what I want or don't want, that's the vibrational frequency that's emanating from 100 trillion cells in my body. So the first thing is, if we look at health, wealth, relationships, career, business, finances, fun experiences, charitable contributions, let's get clear first. Now, there's other steps once we're clear, but let's get clear first.
Yeah. Meaning what specifically in as much detail as possible is what do we want? Getting very clear on that. What do you suggest? Writing a list, a dream board, a vision board?
Yes, 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 and yes. So I create, I write things out, on my computer. In as much detail as possible. Then I personally will maybe create images to represent that very thing. So there's like a language pattern, a visual pattern of what it is. So the language pattern activates certain language patterns in the brain. By adding the visuals, I activate the occipital lobe in the brain, which is the biggest lobe in the brain. So now I've got language patterns, I've got emotional patterns that are activated as a result of the language patterns. Now I'm adding my visual cortex, to that. And what most people don't know is the right language patterns that create the right emotional patterns, that create the right visual patterns, activate the behavioral cortex in the brain. That's the I'm going to take action pattern in the brain, but it also activates everything in our brain is made up of, obviously water and fat. But circuits and networks, there's 3 core networks and a bunch of circuits that turn on or off. So if I could turn on my motivational circuit and I could turn off my fear and doubt and uncertainty and panic circuit, then the behavioral circuit, the move towards take action circuit gets activated. So most people have never been taught that you have $100 billion brain, and no differently than if you're the leader of an orchestra or a band, you need to get the members of the orchestra to more trombone, a little bit of piano, some more vocals, a little bit of bass. Your job is to conduct. Well, that's the CEO, executive director of your brain I call the Einstein brain. And your job is to deactivate the Frankenstein's monster that wants to keep telling you can't, you're not good enough, you're not worth enough, it's not the right time, I don't have this, I don't have that. So we have all these members of the band in our head, and our job is to coordinate harmony within them.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So richly, beautifully, poetically described, John. I love it. The motivational circuit, the fear circuit, the Frankenstein brain, the Einstein brain. These are just great, great metaphors, images. So how do we turn on the motivational circuit and turn off the fear circuit in our brains?
It's a great question. So, Paige, do you have my exceptional life blueprint you can bring me? I'm just asking my EA to give me my exceptional life blueprint. I have a document called my exceptional life blueprint. I think there's one in here, Paige. I have images of everything that I want to achieve in my life for health, wealth, relationships, career, business, charity, spiritual, fun experiences. So I have a vision of exactly what I want, and I write it down in those categories. And this is what it looks like. It's my exceptional life blueprint, right? And at the beginning of my exceptional life blueprint is my family, right? So I look at that every day to remember how much I'm loved and how much I love them. On the next page, just some trips, some things that we've accomplished or achieved, et cetera, in our life. This was a picture that I put of a guy in his 70s that was in great shape that I wanted to look like, and that was part of what I did to get my six-pack at 60. And I have materialistic things of stuff that I've acquired or I want to acquire, but then I also have my top goals, my big why. I have the story of my life. I have goals that I want to achieve, courses that I want to study, things that I want to reinforce, things that I want to stop doing, books I will read, spiritual growth, fun and experiences that I want to have. So I have everything laid out in here as this is what I want to trade my life for. These are the things in each category that I want to trade my life for. Now, what do I do with this? Well, every morning right after my meditation, I prime my brain with instructions that this is what I want you to invest time getting better at, moving towards. So this is all based on understanding that when I look at the pictures, when I look at the goals that I know I want to trade my life for, I release dopamine in my brain, the neurochemical, right? That is the reward neurochemical. And so now I am priming my brain. I am instructing, teaching, reinforcing my brain what patterns I want it to create, what patterns I want to reinforce. So I encode, store, and retrieve. That's part of the process. And every day I review my exceptional life blueprint. I might be on the bike upstairs. I might be sitting on the sofa. I might be here in my office. I'll review my vision and my goals, saying these are the important things that I deem will make my life the masterpiece I'm committed to having.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing this.
So I write things in the proper language patterns that evoke the right emotions. And then I create plans for how am I going to do this? How am I going to, stay in great shape in my 60s so that the vision I have for my 70s is a reality as much as I can control it, right? There's always outside circumstances. How am I going to build my business? How am I going to give this amount to the charities we support? How am I going to be a great husband? How will I be a great dad? So I write down how I'm going to do it as well. So I don't just use wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Right? I look to create plans. So it's not enough to have a picture of a beautiful home that you want. You need to have the blueprint for building the beautiful home. And that's one of the pieces a lot of people miss. Right? So then I create my blueprint, and then that determines what I do today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year, because I've already determined what's important to me in my life, in each category of my life. And then everything that I do is based on my highest values.
Mm-hmm. And is your blueprint, is that part of the book you just showed us, or is that a separate piece?
Well, the blueprint is part of the book.
Okay, it's in there.
in there, right? And all of that is based on the new body of work that I have in there. It's called Innercise, right? So we exercise to strengthen our core muscles, but we exercise to strengthen our core neuro muscles. So my self-image muscle, my focus muscle, my attention and awareness neuro muscle, my belief muscles, my behavioral muscles, my habits. So everything that I do is to reinforce the patterns in my mind, in my brain, that'll help me think, feel, and behave in ways that are in alignment with the vision and goals I have for my life. So it's very deliberate with flexibility. Yeah. But this is what I call deliberate conscious evolution. I'm deliberately and consciously evolving myself using the latest in neuroscience and evidence-based methodologies to get my brain to operate at an optimal level, and then to get my body to do what I needed to do to achieve the goals I want to achieve, so that my life is that masterpiece, that I want it to be. And I think of every one of our lives, we're given a blank canvas. And in some cases, there's crap already on there. I got it.
Yeah.
But I could, there are people, if you ever watch television, they have some people have tattoos, and then they bring a master tattoo artist, and they create a masterpiece on top of the tattoo they don't want anymore. Yeah. We all have stuff in our lives that doesn't work. We all have stuff in our lives we're embarrassed about, ashamed of, guilty of. I got it. But we can still create a masterpiece, because at the end of every day, I sign the day. At the end of every day, I'm signing my day. And I'm either going to sign the day, I'm going to feel proud of it, or I'm not. So I want to make sure that I'm proud of the day that I signed before I close my eyes, maybe for the last time.
Do you literally sign something?
I don't. And metaphorically.
Metaphorically, yeah.
And metaphorically, say, did I trade my life today, right? My time.
Yes.
I'm given life with no card that says, here's expiration date. Right. And so every day I just want to make sure that's like, yeah, good day. Good day. And if I check and balance, did I do today the things that I said I wanted to do based on my highest values?
Yeah.
Because if I could do things based on my highest values, that's a good day.
Yes.
Right? And good days, a lot of good days lead to, a great week.
Yeah.
And a great week leads to an extraordinary month.
Yes.
You just keep layering. A few of the wrong decisions is a recipe for disaster when they're made consistently. A few of the right decisions lead to extraordinary when they're made consistently.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So much to take from what you're sharing with us, John. This word, are you saying neuron muscles?
Neuro, N-E-U-R-O.
Neuro muscles.
Think of your calf muscle as either weak or strong, right? Well, think about your belief muscles about yourself as either weak or strong, constructive or destructive.
Yes.
We have empowering habits and disempowering habits, but we're in control.
I love it.
Let me rephrase that. We can be in control.
Yes.
But most people prefer to master disappointment instead of mastering change.
Yes. This beautiful term that you've created, Innercise, to develop these neuro muscles, these inner muscles, focus muscles, self-esteem muscle, belief muscles. John, if you don't mind me asking, how do you develop those?
Sure. So everything to me, let's have a little bit of fun. Okay.
All right.
Let me tell you how I do it. Let's have a little bit of fun, and we'll get everybody to participate.
Great.
Prefer to participate together. I want you to imagine that you're walking in the mall, you're having a tea or a coffee with a friend, okay, or a juice, it doesn't matter. And out of the corner of your eye on the left side, you see one of your favorite Hollywood actors or actresses, a movie that you like, and there's an actor or actress that you like. And all of a sudden they catch you looking at them and they stand up and they start walking towards you. And you're like, oh my God, he or she is coming over here. And let's say it's Steven Spielberg or Ron Howard or Barbara, somebody. And, they say, hey, listen, we were just watching you from our table over there. And I noticed you were looking back at me. I just finished reading this script, a Hollywood movie script. And there's a role in the script that I think you would be amazing for. And would you mind coming up to Hollywood and auditioning for this script? And you're like, what? Are you serious? They go, and not only that, but I'll pay you $1 million if we choose you. And you read the script. It's only 5 minutes long, and you just pretend you're that role. And you said, okay. You go up to Hollywood, you read the script, they think you've done a great job reading, and they say, okay, now we want you to go back for the next 6 months, and we want you to become the role. Now, just remember, somebody else wrote the script, you don't know it, you don't believe it, you're not an actress, okay? What would you do to take the script that's on a piece of paper? Like, what would you do to become that script? So these are just words, right? This is the story of my life. So what would you do to become that script? It's only 5 minutes long. What would be your process?
So I'm being asked to become the character in this script.
You're getting paid $1 million. You have to.
Okay.
You're a Hollywood actress now.
Yeah. Well, I might try to talk to some people who had similar lives to that character.
Okay, so you do a little research. What else would you do?
Maybe I would start to dress like that person, try to have the same living environment as that person. I would try to have my entire external and internal environment be aligned. Yeah.
What would you do to learn the script?
Oh, the actual words?
Yeah, there's a script. What would you do to learn the words?
Yeah.
Are you going to go to the set and go, okay, everyone, I'm ready. We love, like, is that what you would do? Or you'd have to memorize it, right?
I'd have to memorize, yeah.
Oh, so how many times would you read it? Like once or twice before you're filming?
A lot.
What do you mean by a lot?
Well, probably many, many days worth of just keep going over all the lines.
Oh, so basically by reading it, you would be firing off electrical activity in your brain and creating neurons that connected.
Yes.
So maybe you'd create the language patterns at a subconscious level because you read it consciously 10, 20, 50, 100 times. What else would you do?
I might videotape myself reading my lines.
So you'd look to see if you can improve how you were standing, your incantation. Oh, what else would you do?
Maybe I would perform it in front of my friends and families, get their feedback.
Oh, so you'd practice. So you'd read it, you'd practice it, you'd record it, you'd videotape it, you'd get the feedback, you'd tweak and adjust over and over and over again until what happened?
Until over time, I'm perfecting my craft. I'm perfecting it. Yeah.
Got it. So you'd practice and tweak and adjust. So you got it perfect. And then the perfect practice would create perfect patterns in your brain that then you at some point could take the script, throw it away, and you would just know the script. And you could create the identity that was just as much as you are right now that you didn't even know was a written script by somebody else. So you would add this new identity to your current identity through that process.
Yes.
Well, that's what I do every day.
Yes, of the identity that you are desiring to up level to.
Yes. I'm adding the characteristics that are required for the vision, the goals, the attitude, the beliefs, the self-image, the self-worth, the knowledge, the skills.
Yes.
Every day, every week, every month.
Yes.
And all my students around the world do that every day, every week, every month. So that we create the neural patterns that are the reinforced, new, improved, upgraded patterns today, which by default override the old patterns.
And John, I'm just curious, do you pick out people that you admire?
Sure.
And say, I'd like to borrow, I'd like to emulate this aspect of their personality or their behavior?
The answer is yes, and we all have 2,700 character traits already within us.
Yeah.
Some are more pronounced, either because of genetics or because of our environment, but we can bring forth, right? If I paid you $1 million right now to be really angry with me, could you do it?
Sure.
Of course you could. What about like, oh my God, it's so funny. I could be happy, I could be sad, I could be an a-hole, I could be the kindest person in the world, I could slow down, I could pick up. There's umpteen personality traits and characteristic traits already within you.
Yes.
Some of them just have been dormant for a long time, but you know how to be confident and self-assured. If you had to bring that on, you could. And if you couldn't, then you could watch somebody and then emulate it.
Yes.
Right? If you were committed, not interested.
Yes. Yeah.
So how committed are you to achieving the goals and dreams you have?
Yeah, I'm 100% committed, John.
Right. And but the person who's listening or watching right now, I want this, I'd like that, he's so nice to great, but that's not for people who are interested.
Yeah.
It's for people who are committed to the change, for people who are committed to becoming another version of you.
Yes.
A new, improved version. There's nothing wrong with the old you, but now let's be new and improved, right? You know, the spirit is for evolution. Spirit is for growth, right? So spirit is wanting to fully express itself. Yes. And so we all have these goals and dreams to have more, become more, give more, feel more, love more, receive more. Well, that requires a new version of you.
Yes.
Right. So
yes,
these are just some of the tools that we use, and the question is, you know, what tools do we use? Well, we can use visualizations, we can use visual aids, we can use auditory methodologies, we can use techniques such as mental contrasting or first person, or there's a variety of different techniques to activate and reinforce new, improved, empowering patterns, right? And so we're learning a lot about the human brain now. We're learning about the gut now. We're learning about our intuition. We're learning more now than ever before. And so we're in a phenomenal time in our lives where there's a lot of change going on now. And obviously the world of artificial intelligence that's going to, help us evolve even more, faster, better, easier, is here.
Yeah. And John, for you personally, and in the work that you do with all of your students, what do you find really helps people get their biggest breakthroughs in everything that you've so kindly been sharing?
Consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah, we know, based on, let's say, neuroscience again, we know that we have the ability to choose what we want. We can create a fantasy and say, yeah, I really want that. We know. But we also know that 97, 98% of what we actually think and feel and do is based on subconscious patterns. So we know that. That's factual stuff. So if I know that my subconscious patterns, subconscious conditioning controls 97%, 98% of what I think and feel and do, then the question becomes, how long does it take to upgrade my subconscious patterns or to let go of the ones that are disempowering me? And the answer is it takes 66 days to 365 days to create and reinforce a new pattern so that it overrides an old pattern in the same category. Okay, 66 days to 365 days. Okay, so that means that you ain't going to change forever this weekend. Sorry. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
You ain't going to be rich and skinny and beautiful and in a great relationship this weekend as a result of what you think and feel and do this weekend.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that over the next 30, 60, 90 days, 180 days, a year, you can't make significant progress. But let's stop this fast food mentality of I want a pill, a potion, or a drug to do it for me. Maybe we'll get there, maybe. But if you really want the result and you want to reinforce the pattern that gets the result, let's practice a little patience and let's just learn how to do the right thing in the right order at the right time. And let's build the neuro muscle, okay, for sustaining the results that we want. And I'm going to tell you, all my students have to agree to 100 days, okay, of Innercise at least. If they don't get involved with what I do. Like, just don't. So give me 100 days. I'll show you how to change your life for the better. Don't give me 100 days. You're responsible. I'm not.
Yep.
Now you can get results sooner. Like if I went on a exercise and diet and proper sleep pattern this week, I'd have results this week, but they won't sustain because the pattern hasn't been reinforced enough at the subconscious level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And you can lose weight for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I play the lifetime game.
Mm-hmm.
You can make money like in the next hour, but you're not going to sustain it unless you develop the habitual patterns to sustain it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think what you're saying is there are conscious patterns as well as subconscious patterns, and we have to develop both.
Well, the conscious is choices. Subconscious are the patterns that run themselves to conserve energy.
Yeah.
So we repeat, we are creatures of habit, thought habits, emotional habits, behavior habits. We all have, weight set points, relationship set points, financial set points in our brain, and those run on autopilot patterns. And when we don't know how to override those patterns and create a new pattern, then we're just creatures of habit.
Yep. Amazing, John. What a just fountain of wisdom and light and joy you are. Just so amazing to speak with you and hear about the amazing path of your life and what you have gleaned from your experiences and just moving through life and achieving your desires and just being a master of mindset. Let's just call it what it is.
Thank you. This is the fun part is now I can share it with people all over the world so that they first learn how to manage their mindset and their emotions. Then they can go to mastery. First, we need to be aware, then we can manage, then we can master. And it just takes time, but all doable. Yeah,
aware, manage, master. Yes, beautiful. And John, where is the best place for people to find you, to be able to work with you, to your books, all of it?
Sure. So all my books are on Amazon, of course. My newest one is Innercise, my New York Times bestseller. Before that was Having It All. And if you're a business owner, that one called The Answer. But go to johnassaraf.com. I've got some great videos on there. I've got some great free articles on there. And there's, entry points into some of the work that I do that people can have fun with.
Beautiful. And are there any upcoming courses that you're offering, or can people get in at any point?
Yeah. There's always, entry points into the different coaching programs we have. Okay. Something that's worth sharing with your members is go to brainathon.com. Okay. Brainathon.com, and you'll see the next event that's coming up with me and several other brain and success experts. We do those for free. And then we introduce people to some of our programs, during the shows.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you so much. Good fun. Appreciate being on your show.
Thank you. And thank you to all the listeners. And please check out all of John's work. He's just phenomenal. So much love to everyone.
Thank you
for joining Dr. Tassel Faith, Priestess of Metamorphosis, on your road to transformation and freedom. Each step takes you closer to becoming an awakened, empowered, courageous, and a moves mountains kind of person. Join us again, the second and fourth Wednesday of each month at 12 noon Eastern Time for more guidance and encouragement. Until then, lead with your magic, trust the unseen, experience quantum leaps.